Hey folks, this is Mary. Welcome back to my channel. This is day 23 of 30 Blue Inks 30 Days. And today's ink is a Sailor Manyo ink, and it is called, I'm not sure how to pronounce this one, Sumire, but it is a lovely blue color. So I'm looking forward to trying this one. And I am trying a bit of a different angle with the camera today, so let me know if this is working out better for you. I think the lighting might be a little bit better, but we'll see. So nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? So we need to swatch our ink. And, ooh, we have a Q-tip. Let's see. Oh, I gotta find a Q-tip. Hang on. Okay, so where were we? Let me see. And I forgot to mention my pen. This is one of my favorite pens. It's a blue TWSBI Eco with a medium nib. And I've used it a ton. I love it. But it got to the point where the piston was really sticking, so I had to take it apart and grease it with silicone grease. And it scared me to death. And I don't think I got it put quite back together right, because I have a purple TWSBI Eco, and this gap right here between the, I guess this is the piston, and I don't know, whatever the top of that is right there. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but this gap right here where the shaft is revealed, it's too big on this pen. On the purple TWSBI, which I have never taken apart, the gap is much smaller, but the directions said there needed to be a gap. I'm just not sure how big that gap is supposed to be. So it works okay. It holds ink and it writes. So I guess those are all good things. But I'm sure at some point I'm going to have to take it apart again and see about evening up that gap. But it's all a learning experience. And I do love tinkering with my pens. It just terrifies me. But one of these days I will get over my fear of breaking my pens. And let's not think about the Curados right now. Because that one is pretty much broken, but I don't think that was my fault. Anyway, stay tuned for that one. I'll update you guys when I have more news about it. But I digress. So let's focus on our lovely ink today. What do I want to call this? I guess I want to call it Sumire. I'll go with Sumire until I hear otherwise. Whoops, I keep getting ink on the table. Ooh, that was a good one. The drips are so much fun. Please let me know if you have decided to institute drips in your ink testing. I'm sure I'm not the only person out there that enjoys a little ink drip. Ooh, all of my paper towels are getting really inky. And the problem with that is when you try to wipe up one ink, you end up putting another ink down. So I wipe up a blue smear and I end up with a purple smear. It's very interesting, but still part of the fun. Okay, so we're going to set him aside to dry. And, ooh, can you guys see that? My goodness. That is my camera stand poking out there. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that being there. We're going to put something in front of that because I want to cover that up. Is that better? Okay. I've got my little camera stand clamped to my table, and so I don't damage the table. I have a paper towel wrapped around the table. So, anyway, the things that we improvise with, right? Okay. Let's see. So now we're going to do our writing sample. Oh, no. I'm not doing a writing sample in that book. I'm doing a writing sample in this book. Good heavens. Okay, I'm not liking this setup. It's okay, I'll get situated. Let me see. Okay, can you guys see that? I can't see what you're seeing very well, but I think that looks pretty good. Okay. Alright, I feel like I'm shaking the camera more in this position, so I won't be able to tell how bad that is until I look at the replay, but hopefully you guys aren't dizzy yet. Alright, so there is our writing sample, and that is a nice bright blue, and it seems pretty wet. We've got a nice little smear there. So let's move on to some samples. All right, so I wasn't sure what samples to compare with this one. So I have a whole different range of them, and I think a lot of the ones I picked out are much too dark. I was thinking this ink was darker looking, but it's looking pretty turquoise now. Okay, goodness, all of these are much too dark. There's my favorite, Horizon Blue, and definitely a darker blue. There's Diamond Blue Velvet. There's Troublemaker Simoon. That is such a lovely color. We've got that huge smear of red sheen, but even in the little swipes I did with the Q-tip, I can see little bits of sheen. So that one's very pretty. Okay, this one's looking a bit closer. That is Colorverse Supernova, one of my top inks. And it's a bit darker, I think, than, what did I say I was going to call that? Sumire? I forgot that fast. The color is similar, but I don't see any sheen on this one. And of course, I think it's still drying. But usually by this point, if there's some sheen, it's going to come out. So I think these Manyo inks are probably better known for shading than they are for sheen. So I'm not seeing any sheen on that one. And here is Troublemaker Blue Guitar, and I think that one is really close to Colorverse Supernova. They're pretty close to each other, but I think they're both darker than Sumire. So, I need to pull out some more cards here. Now here's the one that we did yesterday. That is Robert Oster Ocean, and this is looking a little bit greener than Sumire, but I think they're pretty close in tone. Yeah, let's see. Here is Pelican Turquoise. And I think this is looking, the Sumire is looking a little bit bluer. And here's Robert Oster Fire and Ice. I think he's a bit greener. Let's see. Here is Daphne Blue, which is very bright. It's a very bright blue. I think it's a bit brighter than Sumire. And here's Califolio Bleu Pacifique. So these are all the cards that I used with our ink yesterday, which was the Robert Oster Ocean. But looking at this ink in the sample vial, can you guys see that in the light? It looks really blue. I mean, like a true blue. But on the swatch card, it's looking much more turquoise. And I don't know if that's showing up well enough in the camera. But the sample violet's looking much darker. So let's see. Here is Rohrer and Klingner Blue Mare, who is looking more turquoise than Sumire. Let's see. What else do I have here? How about Lamy Turquoise? Again, it's looking like the other ones, but not like the Sumire. Gosh, I don't know. And here's Blue Guitar again. Let's see. What did we have in this stack before? I don't know, that Daphne blue, what do you think? This one's definitely darker, but I don't think Daphne blue is quite the same shade of blue. So I don't know. And Supernova seems a bit darker than Sumire, but Sumire just doesn't have that red sheen. So again, I'm thinking that I have a unique ink here. I don't seem to have any other colors that look like that one. But I'm looking forward to writing with this one more because, again, I think the Manyo inks are known for shading in a really interesting way and not necessarily sheen. So it's hard to see the shading until you write with it. And just looking at the little bit of writing I did on this watercolor paper, it's really not showing. And I didn't really notice any on the Clairefontaine paper. It seems like a pretty, I don't want to say a flat blue, but it, I don't see a lot of shading on that one. And let's look in my journal here. Let's see. So I wrote today's ink down at the bottom. And I think the color of it looks lovely on this paper. This is the Exceed notebook. But the Clairefontaine paper is really nice to write on, but I don't always like the way inks look on the paper. But so far I've really enjoyed this Exceed notebook. I like how the ink behaves on it. I'm not a big fan of the yellowish tinge of the paper, but I like how the inks are on the paper, which is that's the important part for me, how the inks behave on it. So I don't see a lot of shading, but it is a beautiful color on this paper. And again, writing it in here, it seemed much darker than it turned out on the swatch card. On the swatch card, I think it looks much lighter. So it's always interesting that synergy between the pen, the ink, and the paper. People talk about that all the time, but it is so true. You have the same pen writing with different inks, and it behaves differently, you know, depending on what you put in it and what you write on, you know. So it's the, what do they call that? It's the alchemy of fountain pens. That's what I love about it. It's part science and part magic. I just love it. Okay, well, I think that is all for today. So I will end this video, but thank you so much for joining me. And please let me know what pens and inks you're using. And I will see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.